Hi everybody, Andrea from CaniConfiance here. I am hopefully posting a training in real time video for you here on YouTube. My Instagram one didn't work. Fingers crossed, technology with the joys. So just a little introduction, I think, before each segment to walk you through what we did today. So first of all, you'll see in the first video that we're just doing a little warm-up session. So this is just going to get it was mostly Charlie that I'm looking to work with, but you will see Lola, who is his sister, his partner in crime, in the video as well. She's an older girl, and quite a bit older as well, and she's got quite a lot of kind of old girl related health issues. So even though she's obviously welcome to join in, my criteria for her is in the first video that you'll see, and in fact she is hanging out in the second one as well, is exceptionally low. You know, anything she's willing to offer us, she gets treats for. She does perform a little hand touches and she reorientates towards me, sweet girl that she is, but I mean that's it. She can just have the treats because she's arthritic and has a heart condition and all of that, so you know, not expecting anything from our gorgeous girl. So for Mr. Charlie, the warm-up, well, first of all, let's see what you'll see on the ground. You'll see that I've set up just a very basic setup to encourage Charlie to have a little bit more, well, something for us to move around. I'm looking for that orientation and engagement as we kind of move around these very basic obstacles, but also for him to have a little bit of body awareness. So you'll see him, you know, like stepping poles, like simple things like that. It's almost like trotting poles that you'd see for horses, for him to have to step over, pay attention to his feet. A paws up on a log, and I do also have a pot there as well, which we were looking to do paws up on. I'll talk about that a bit after. It was an interesting point that came up with the pot. So in the beginning, just looking for engagement. So what you'll see, sorry, is us playing 2-treat toss. We'll do some hand touches. I do, you know, it might be difficult to see in the video because I can't talk to the video to say what I'm doing when I'm doing it, but I'm also rewarding eye contact. But as I say, mostly just engagement and reorientation. The environment, of course, is very important. So sometimes you might see the dogs are a bit confused about where the treat is, and that's because the sun might be in their eyes. So you have to kind of keep that in mind as well. But the other thing is that we're in a very, very large enclosed garden. So although it's very safe and secure, there's plenty of distractions around. I would say distraction wise, this is kind of middle ground. So if you think it's like super easy to really high distractions, they're kind of in the middle because they have squirrels and, you know, they have dogs in the next garden, or there could be people passing at the gate or a postman arriving. So there is the potential for distractions, let's put it that way. So yeah, so we'll let you watch the first video of us just kind of warming up, and although I'm not going to post the whole warm-up, it was 10 minutes pretty much exactly. Alright, I'll let you watch that. So one last thing that I wanted to mention before we see the warm-up is that it's really good for Charlie because working alongside Lola gives him a little bit of, there's an extra challenge, there's an extra layer involved in there, basically, is what I'm trying to say, because he has had resource guarding issues around food. He's definitely got some concerns about other dogs being around his food, and he has shown aggression before with other dogs around his food. So it's really, really fantastic. It's obviously, I handle it very, very carefully. I'm very conscious of that, but it's really fantastic to see the trust that he has in Lola and the trust that he has in me, that during the warm-up when we're using treats, and you know, we're using treats as reinforcement, that he doesn't, you can see from his tail carriage and the way that he is, and obviously it's free work, there's no leads involved, so there's no pressure. They can walk, there's the freedom to walk away or to go and have a drink. There's a bucket of water there if they want because it's sunny, so all of that takes the pressure off, and therefore he doesn't feel the need to react about the treats that he's getting. He knows that the food is coming from me. He doesn't have to take it off of Lola. So yeah, there's that added layer in, which isn't, you know, it doesn't matter with regards to what I'm trying to show in the video, the exercises of building up to having the loose lead walking and engagement and disengagement from the environment and all that, focus, all that kind of stuff. But it is just nice to kind of say that that's part and parcel of what's going on in this scenario as well. And you do have to be conscious of that when you're working with multi-dog households, or just multiple dogs. It's definitely something to factor in, as much as the environment and, you know, the dog's capabilities, or the dog's, you know, setting their own pace about their learning and all the rest of it. So it's, yeah, it's just something I wanted to mention. Okay, so as we move on to the second round, I think it's important to note that this is actually Charlie's third session, because we did a session yesterday, which was also 10-15 minutes, and I tried to record it and I lost it. So this is actually his third session, and this is the first time that I actually clipped the lead onto his collar. So he does have a flat collar on, and you can see I've got about a soft 3-meter long line. I would put a harness on him, but he doesn't have one that fits correctly. He's a little bit chunky for the harness that he has. It's a wee bit tight, so a flat collar is fine, because obviously our main goal about this anyway was to have as little pressure to no pressure on that collar at all. So the introduction of clipping on the lead in the third session also brought up some very interesting observations for Mr. Charlie. And I have known these before, but it's always important to kind of make a mental marker of them. It was interesting that for 2 sessions he was doing really well with disengaging from the environment, focusing on me, impulse control, all of that. As soon as that lead was brought out, excitement, anticipation for the walk, but what that also symbolised to him was it's time to pull. And this is habitualised for him, like it is for many dogs. The lead symbolises click on, now we're going on the walk, which means lean in and steam train towards my walk, towards the outside. Obviously we know what the motivation is there. But yeah, it's interesting the lead was such a strong cue for that. So if you pay attention, you'll notice that for a second to half a second, when the lead's clipped on, he disengages and he is like, woohoo, steam train to the end of it. And for about a second, half a second, you'll see him leaning into it. He is a little bit desensitized to pulling, a little bit. He pulls even in his parents use a figure of 8 lead head halter type. You might be familiar with them. It's essentially just a roped slip lead, but it comes behind the head, behind the neck, and then figure of 8s up around the nose. So it's it's kind of a halty, but it does still tighten, and he will pull even in that. So yes, Mr. Charlie's pretty desensitized to pulling, so it is important. I mean, I know just from doing this this simple session this morning that he's, you know, if this was a training client of mine, we're not even ready to get out of the gate, because he would just get his pulling would just continue to escalate the closer we got to the gate to exit the property. And then as soon as we were out of the gate, the chances of him being able to disengage from the environment, engage with us, focus on us, is slim to none, because he's struggling to do it even in the driveway in the lead up to the gate. So we've got that we have to think about. It's the idea of moving into pressure, and as I say, I want that pressure to be as little as possible, but I want to build the concept for Charlie that when he feels that pressure, to move towards it, to reorientate towards me and move into the pressure to release it, as opposed to leaning into it and steam train away in order to reach his end goal. We can reach his end goal together. He doesn't have to pull away from me to get to it. So that's definitely something you're like, okay, let's work on that. Let's work on his understanding of what it is to be on lead before we take it to the challenge of walking to the gate, getting past the gate, the street and everything else, because by the time you've got there, you absolutely will have lost him, lost his attention and engagement completely. He would just be, I think, his sole focus would be, like it is, as I said, for many dogs that pull on lead, just forward, 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 forward. So what will we see in this video? You will see a lot more of the same pattern games, 2 treat tosses, variations of up down or lassos, which is just like helping them follow the treat with their hands, a little bit of predation substitution. Then we have drunk walking, which is a beginner's baseline game for orientation on lead, getting them to follow your body language and pay attention to your body language for which direction you're going to move in, encouraging them to move with you. You will see me a lot of patiently waiting as well, just giving him time to kind of decompress from the idea or the confusion perhaps even of, but I'm on lead and this is what I do on lead and this is not what we're doing on lead right now. So just give him time to kind of think it through, basically, and always again capturing and reinforcing when he decides to come back and engage. So there might be times where you'll see, for example, that I'm paying attention to Lola and Lola and I are maybe doing some hand touches, or maybe I'm just playing find it with her in the grass, and Charlie will be out in the long line nice and loose. I've still got one finger on the handle on the loop, but I'll just let him be until he decides to come back and re-engage. And in fact, when you've got 2 dogs, this can be a benefit of it, that he's kind of like, oh, what are you doing with Lola? Oh, I want in on that. And it's just another way of encouraging him to come back and get involved in the games. So that's quite cute as well. But you'll see, you know, we get to about 9 minutes. I'm pretty sure I timed it, it was 9 minutes, and our flow, it starts to, you can feel it start, you can see it, sorry, start to come into the video. He starts to move with me, he's, you know, engaging with me. I say freely, but he is attached, obviously. But you know, loose lead is what I'm looking for. So not the tension or the moments of tension that we have at the beginning of the video in the first half, where he's still kind of trying to just slot into what he knows, that lean and pull forward. So yeah, so that's what you'll see. It looks very cruisy and it's very simple, and that's the way it's supposed to be. It's to, I mean, what I love about it, these kind of pattern games and the simplicity of it, is look at his body language, wanting to be. And my favourite part, I'll point it out, is at the end. You know, he's unclipped. You know, again, get to the point where it's kind of like, okay, and that's it, and it's your choice to be with me and move with me. And then at the end he does this lovely little like run and spring and jump, and it's just, isn't that the nicest way to end a training session, when the dog is just happy. Good boy. That's a good boy. Okay, last but not least, move on to the fourth session for Charlie. Lola's now, she was inside having a nap at that point. Old girl needs her naps. Left her with a Kong as well, just to keep her occupied. Okay, so this is about 2 hours after the third session. So we've had a nap, as I said, we've had lunch, everyone's relaxed. So definitely nice decompression, just giving him a bit of time to think about what we did in just a couple of hours, but we can then do another 10 minutes and he was up for it, so let's do it. So yeah, so his anticipation, first of all, for this fourth session had risen about what we were doing. You know, his body language, his tail carriage, everything, he's up for it, and that's great. You can see the change when the predictability of what it is you're doing with them. So they start to grasp it, they're more comfortable. Yeah, it's just really nice to see that kind of like, oh yay, we're gonna work, awesome. And he was more comfortable with the long line being clipped on, all of that, because to begin with, even though I had the long line looped on the floor, you might have caught that in the very first video, and that was just because he wasn't very sure about it when it's all left out, and this can be quite common with some dogs actually. When the long line is all the way out, you can see that dogs can be concerned about it moving about their feet. I suppose it's quite snake-like. So it's something that, you know, it's another thing that we have to kind of habituate them to. So yeah, he's much more comfortable with that. The pulling towards the gate, that had ceased by this fourth session. Now, important to know, I'm not sitting here saying, and that's it, it's done, he's never going to pull again. No. This is just for this particular day, for this particular environment, for this kind of stacking of sessions. That's why we've achieved this. If I was then to move it to the end of the drive, I might, you know, I don't want to say it would definitely be like this, but my predictions is that we would most likely have to work through the same kind of exercises again, because we're getting closer to being to the outside environment, and that obviously we have to still think about that habit that he's still got of steam train towards the outside. So but yeah, no, so what do? We go back to the same stuff that we were doing before. As I say, these pattern games, his reinforcement is becoming, the reinforcement for him is becoming more predictable with the use of these pattern games. So we just do the same things. We do drunk walking, we do some figure of eights. I'm generally just looking for that flow of him. Is he paying attention to where I'm moving, to my positioning, to my body language, all of that kind of stuff. Again, the disengagement and then re-engagement with me is a big factor as well. As a spider just totally landed on my phone. Hello. Well, it's not poisonous, we're only in France. Spider crisis averted, he's fluttered off. So what I wanted to say is my kind of last lead into this fourth session video is that the flow and his engagement with me was so much stronger, even just after 3 sessions, that by 4 or 5 minutes into the fourth session, I just unclipped the lead, because I could feel that connection with him, and ultimately that's what we're looking for. So that was lovely, and then you can see that we move into free work very, very organically. It's just like, okay, I can feel that you're with me, son, so we take that lead off and off we go, and we just do free work, and we continue the rest of the session with him off lead. So one last thing I wanted to talk about, which happens towards the end of the video, and again, it's an interesting observation and important for you guys to think about this with your dogs as well, that I had an upturned log for doing Paws Up, which Charlie's starting to grasp, to get the concept of, and he has no problems with putting his paws on the upturned log. But on the other side, and I'm sorry it's out of frame, but what I had was an upturned clay pot. Now I had encouraged him to put his paws up on it maybe 2 times, and he did comply, but he was definitely more prone to refusals with it. And so by the time we got to this video, I'd say the 4th session, and him having had a couple of refusals beforehand, and he did it again, and so the observation for me is that there's something about that he's not into. He's eating treats off the top of it. He'll do, he'll walk around it and everything, no problems. He's not per se frightened of it, but there's something about it that he's not into. And in fact, his feelings about this are so much so, and you have to pay attention to these things, that it's the only time in this session where he just completely disengaged with me, and he walks out of frame. It's an important point to be like, okay, right, I'm listening to you. You don't like it, so that we're done with that. It's okay to encourage him a couple of times if they're just working through maybe some like being a little bit reserved about an object, and maybe a little bit uncertainty. But it's different when you get flat refusals a couple of times in a row. For me anyway, I'm like, all right, we're done with that. So then I switched to doing Patel's counting game in order to encourage him to come back and re-engage with me, which he does happily. And so we continue a couple of patterns of that game to end on a positive note. I don't want to end the session having had such a fantastic session for him to have a refusal and disengage. And also, that's not a signal for me to like get frustrated and get him to come back and he's got to do it. He doesn't like it, so don't make him do it. It's me paying attention to what he's trying to tell me as well. So that pot is now discarded and we don't have to use that. If he's comfortable with the logs, I'll get another log, or maybe I'll try something else, like a big rock or something like that. So yeah, it's as I say, it's don't always think that your dogs are being stubborn or that they're not getting something, and it's a really good way of trying to figure that out is, of course, because I've got these two different objects and he's got no problems doing a paws up on a log. It's the paws up on the clay pot that he's not into. So okay, there's no more clay pot. And I'm just glad that he then chooses to come back and engage with me again, and we can end the session there. So I'll let you watch it, and of course you're welcome to PM me with comments or questions. I'm sure I haven't covered half the stuff I would like to, but I think I've talked enough. Right guys, enjoy! Okay guys, if you made it all the way to the end, congratulations. it's exactly why trainers are trying to encourage other trainers to show their work, basically. It's not the most mind-blowing, dazzling show of training. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to show you training in real time with all its errors and mistakes, and you know, we're only human, they're only dogs, we're learning together. It's about play and flexibility and yeah, like learning together as well. So although of course I've got the practical application and the knowledge of the theory behind it, every dog is different, and that's the point. We're working together and working through it. But as I said, I think it's a great idea that trainers higher up in the rung of the ladders, if you will, are encouraging others to show their work and not just these glamorous before and after videos. So thank you very much, as I said, for joining me, and thank you for Mr. Charlie, who's... Are you going to show your face, baby? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Did you like it? Oh, you did? You were such a good boy. You were. You were a perfect dog. Thanks, guys. Happy training.